Do you honestly believe you just have bad luck in love? I mean, come on. If you find yourself dragging your bruised heart out of the wreckage of yet another relationship, one where you once again wound up tangled up with a self-absorbed, manipulative, soul-sucking narcissist, let me tell you, that's not bad luck. No, that is not some cosmic accident or the universe having a laugh at your expense. That is a pattern. And here's the deal, a pattern isn't something the world does to you, it's something you step right into, sometimes over and over. The real problem isn't that you keep bumping into these people, it's that you keep showing up as the perfect target for them to lock onto. Now, folks, let's rip the bandage off another big myth, the idea that you are just a passive victim of circumstance. Life doesn't just happen to you. I say this with total empathy, but also with complete honesty because I care enough to be honest. If your love life has become a spin cycle of chaos and heartbreak, it's time to check your picker. That's right, your internal relationship GPS. And I've got to be straight with you, your GPS right now is programmed to seek out emotional chaos. You think you're searching for love, but your system's set to find dysfunction because somewhere along the way that chaos started to feel familiar, almost like home. Familiar isn't always safe or healthy, but it's powerful. So it's time to get under the hood and reprogram your destination, set a new course. You think you're choosing a partner, but what you're really doing, if you're honest, is choosing a familiar pain. You reach for what's comfortable, even if it never brought you happiness. And this is where self-reflection comes roaring in, because let me ask, how many times have you found yourself back in the same mess thinking, this time will be different? How often have you seen the exact same red flags, the over-the-top charm, the sob story that tugs your heartstrings, the little digs dressed up as jokes, and convinced yourself this one's a fixer, upper, but you're up to the challenge? Let me just stop right there. I want to break through the screen, reach into your moment and say, get down to the comments right now and tell me, what was the very first red flag you willingly ignored with your last partner? Lay it out, no shame, just truth. Because you cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. Don't let shame keep you locked into a pattern that's just emotional quicksand. See the definition of insanity, and I say this with a grin, because I've sat with thousands of people in my career who have done just this. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Every time you ignore that flashing red light in your gut, every time you wave away those warning signs because this one's different, you reset the cycle. I'm not judging you, I want you to win. And to do that, you've got to get real with yourself. The only thing more exhausting than heartbreak after heartbreak is pretending you don't see the pattern. Let's go deep now. This isn't about placing blame. I'm not in the business of blame. I'm in the business of truth and empowerment. If the problem is just them, all those narcissists out there, you're flat out helpless. You can't change them any more than you can change the weather. But if the problem is, at least in part, your pattern, your choices, your unhealed wounds, suddenly you are in the driver's seat again. That's not a curse. That is your way out. That's the good news, my friend. Let me hit you with this. When you stop focusing on the narcissist and start digging into the why, the part of you that keeps resonating with that dysfunction, everything changes. You keep wanting to get better at spotting the wolf. I want you to understand why you keep opening your door to the wolf in the first place. Until you fix the why, the what is going to keep showing up like clockwork right on your doorstep. Doesn't matter where you move, what city you're in, what job you take. It's not an external problem, it's an internal pattern that you have the power to rewrite once and for all. You didn't tune in today for sugarcoating, you came for truth. And sometimes truth stings, but it saves you. So give yourself permission to look at that wreckage without judgment, without shame, but with open eyes and courage. This is the first step to getting out of the cycle. You don't have to live your life as a character in someone else's drama or as the target for someone else's dysfunction. Understand your pattern, own your power, and start drawing boundaries, not just with toxic people, but with the person in the mirror who is ready to do better now that they know better. The best part, this ends not when you find the right person, but when you become the healthiest version of yourself. That's how you break the cycle. Trust me, once you shift your focus from why do they do this to me to why do I choose this and how do I stop, everything starts to change. And that's no accident. That's your victory. All right? You cannot win a game if you don't know the rules. And when it comes to narcissists, my friend, you're up against professional players. While you're honest giving, leaning in for love, they are calculating, strategic, running a blueprint that's as old as time and sharper than a razor. Their goal, narcissistic supply, and what's on the table isn't money, it's your emotions, your energy, your self-worth. That's the currency. So let's go step by step, role by role, and see what you're really dealing with. First, the love bombing illusion. This is not a fairy tale romance, although it sure looks the part on the surface. No, this is a con job and you're the mark. Love bombing is the opening act, and it's a performance engineered to get you locked in and on the hook. I mean, the 24/7 texting, the I've never felt this way before, song and dance. They're not just writing you love letters. They are mirroring every single one of your hopes, dreams, desires. Whatever you say you want in a soulmate, they claim to be. But don't let yourself get dazzled by the spotlight. What you're seeing is a chameleon. Their deep connection is just an echo of your own longing, not a reflection of their soul. See, their strategy is simple. Find out what you crave, what you fear, and give you everything you want so quickly you never stop to ask why. Are you craving understanding because your last partner was cold? Suddenly, they're encyclopedic on empathy. Are you yearning for security after years of instability? Well, there they are, planning your future in week 2. Don't mistake speed for sincerity. A healthy connection doesn't show up at your door like a tornado. It builds, it takes root. But this is all performance, and you are the audience called to applaud. Then, just as you're easing into the warmth of that spotlight, here comes phase 20, the devaluation drip. And this is where the mask slips. And friend, it always slips. This is not an explosion, it's a slow leak. You notice it when your sparkle starts dulling. Suddenly, you're too sensitive. You're imagining things. You start questioning your own reality. That feeling, that's gaslighting, one of the oldest tricks in their book. If they can make you doubt yourself, then they get to control what is real and what is not. But it doesn't stop at gaslighting. There are the subtle put-downs, the so-called jokes that land like tiny stings chipping away at your confidence. That's negging. Friends, psychic paper cuts meant to test what they can get away with. If you call them on it, hey, that was kind of rude, you get, it was just a joke. You're so serious. And when that doesn't wobble you enough, here comes the silent treatment. You feel them pull away, withdraw affection, lock you out emotionally. That coldness isn't a glitch, it's a punishment. You're learning now connection is always conditional. You do what they want, or you lose the warmth. Now, if you've ever been through this, you know what's coming next, the soul-crushing discard. And this phase hurts in a way that's hard for outsiders to understand. 1 minute, you're their everything. You can do no wrong. You're the center of their universe. Then, snap. The rug is gone and you're left falling, scrambling, desperate for answers. What just happened? Why the sudden cold front? This isn't a miscommunication. It's planned obsolescence. You served your purpose. Now they're on to the next shiny thing or have decided you're too much work. The discard is brutal by design. The sudden shift is meant to leave you broken, confused, and searching for closure that will never come. Why? Because your confusion, your desperation, your efforts to win them back, that's a fresh hit of narcissistic supply. You're yearning, they're winning. And just when you think it's finally over, the Playbook delivers one more act, the Hoover. Appropriately named after the vacuum cleaner because this phase is all about sucking you right back in. Maybe it's an apology out of the blue. I've been doing so much thinking. Maybe now they have a crisis, a sudden illness, a tragedy, anything that can flip your empathy switch back on. Or the classic, I miss you, pinging your phone at 2 a.m. Make no mistake, this is not about love. It's about supply running low. Their new audience just left the theater, so the show rolls back around to you. If you're hearing all of this and you feel seen, you are. If you're thinking, I fell for every step, that's not your shame. That's how the script is written. Remember, these patterns look personal, but they are not. This isn't all about you. It's about anyone who lines up for the role. It's a script worn smooth by repetition. When you can finally see the puppet strings, you're no longer the puppet. You step outside the play, and the show can't go on without its star. So, what do you take away? You can't rewrite their script. All you can do is decide not to audition for their production any longer. You recognize the love bombing for what it is. You don't ignore that drip of devaluation. You refuse to accept the discard as a verdict on your worth. And when the Hoover comes, you know the difference between an apology and a lure. You must lift yourself up off that stage and step into the light of your own truth. See the playbook as it is, predictable, impersonal, and not a reflection of your value. You are the currency, now be the bank. Lock the door and don't let those withdrawals keep happening. Trust me, once you see the strings, the only role you'll want is your own. Let's slow it down. Pull up a chair and get raw for a minute. I want you to picture something, a shark out in the ocean. A shark doesn't go after another shark. It goes for the fish that's bleeding, the one that's been wounded, the one that's got something the predator can sense from miles away. Narcissists, they are emotional predators. And they're not looking for someone just like them. They're looking for somebody with the exact kind of wounds they know how to exploit. Right now, I'm inviting you to put those wounds under a microscope, not to judge you, but to understand you. This is about shining a light in those corners you'd rather keep shaded. Let me talk about empathy, yours in particular. You are a kind, compassionate, forgiving person. You care about people's pain. You see somebody who's hurting, and you reach for the first aid kit. Your support, your love, your undying willingness to give them a second, third, and 10th chance. Now, I want you to hear me. Those are beautiful qualities. In fact, the world needs more empathy, more patience, more understanding. But here's where you got to tread carefully. Because to a narcissist, your empathy isn't a virtue. It's a gaping vulnerability, an open door with a welcome sign printed in blinking neon. They walk right in, shoes muddy, expecting you to clean up whatever mess they bring. You know what they do, right? They lay the sob story on thick. No one ever understood me before you. I've never been able to trust anyone. Suddenly you feel special. You're the chosen one who can fix what everyone else broke. And let me tell you, you're a natural-born fixer, I know you. You look at their pain and you think, if I just love them hard enough, I'll heal them. But let me be crystal clear, one of my go to Dr. Phil isms. You are not a rehabilitation center for damaged people. Your love cannot fix a personality disorder. That's not your burden, and it never was. So give yourself permission to set that load down. Now, let's circle back to an even deeper layer. Your childhood programming. Come on now, this isn't about blaming parents or dredging up every old hurt for the sake of pain. This is about tracing the lines etched into your blueprint for love. Did you grow up with a narcissistic parent? One who needed all the attention in the room, one whose moods you had to manage just to keep the peace? Were you taught, maybe not in words but in the air you breathed, that your job was to be the good kid, the compliant helper, the fixer, the emotional manager? Did you learn that love was conditional, something you earned by being quiet or talented or never causing problems? Let me tell you, when that is your first classroom, chaos feels like home. You grow up thinking soothing storms is your job. You wear anxious vigilance like your favorite sweater. You walk into adult relationships on autopilot, seeking the very same storms because the calm feels foreign, even frightening. So when you spot a narcissist, a person whose love is always just out of reach, who rewards your self-erasure with scraps of affection, It feels familiar. You step right in, it feels like home because home wasn't safe, and old pain unexamined becomes a magnet for new hurt. Let's take a breath here. This is not about shame. What happened to you wasn't fair, but nobody gets through childhood without some kind of programming. The point is, you learn to accept the unacceptable because it was all you knew. But that wiring can be rewired. You don't have to keep living by the script someone else wrote. Now, one of the deepest scars, something I see in so many patients, so many conversations on the podcast, is the fear of abandonment. It sits heavy in your bones. This fear whispers. If you set boundaries, people will leave. If you ask for what you need, they'll walk out. If you say no, you'll end up all alone. And that, folks, is a terror that'll have you settling for crumbs, as if crumbs are a feast. Narcissists can smell that kind of fear a mile away. It's the gasoline on their fire. They know the exact buttons to push. They test your boundaries, and when you waffle, they know you'll bend, you'll break, you'll accept less than you deserve, all to avoid being left. And the cost, piece by piece, you trade your self-respect for the illusion of connection. I want you to hang on to this. These aren't character flaws. These are unhealed parts of you. You are not weak for wanting love, not broken for having empathy, not foolish for getting pulled into old patterns. You are working with the tools you were given, but it's time to upgrade your toolkit. The world will always have sharks, but you don't have to be the bleeding fish. You don't have to walk through life as a target painted bright red for every narcissist and emotional predator to see. The moment you stop outsourcing the job of healing to anybody else, the moment you turn inward and give those old wounds attention, understanding, and a firm boundary, that's when you start to close up the bleeding. That's when you stop being a target and start being a survivor, a thriver. So, as you listen today, take an honest, compassionate look at the places you feel raw, the places where the same story keeps playing on loop. Heal those places. Own them, love them, and protect them. Nobody else is going to do it for you, and that's the good news. It means you have the power right here, right now. And let me leave you with this: until you turn around and heal those wounds yourself, you will keep outsourcing that job to people who only make the wounds deeper. When you heal, you change the game, and that, my friend, is the power of stepping out of the role of target and into your life as your own best protector. All right, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is not theory. This isn't daydreaming about change. And this sure isn't the place for rationalizations or excuses. It's time for a get real, audit, a gut check, a flashlight in the basement. Fearless inventory of your own life. You are about to become a detective, and the case file is you. First up, identify the payoff. This is not for the faint of heart, and I want you to know, if you feel a little sting, that's all right. Growth hurts sometimes, at least at first. Here's the tough question you absolutely can't dodge. What are you getting out of this pattern you keep playing out? Because here's the deal. If there wasn't some kind of payoff, you'd have dropped this behavior a long time ago. There's always a reason. Maybe, just maybe, the drama makes you feel alive, like you matter. Maybe playing the victim gets you comfort, attention, and sympathy from friends and family. Or maybe fixing. Someone being the hero in someone else's tragic story gives you a hit of feeling needed, important, maybe even powerful for a minute. Does that mean you want the pain? Of course not. But it does mean you've got to get brutally honest about what that secondary gain is. I'm not judging you, but you have to call it what it is if you're ever going to get free. Now, let's move to step 2, the red flag replay. Grab a pen. Not your phone, something real, something you have to scratch across the page. I want you to list every single narcissistic or emotionally unavailable partner you've ever been involved with. And don't stop at names. Beside each one, jot down the first 3 to 5 red flags you noticed and ignored. The charming but arrogant remarks, the casual disrespect, the stories that didn't add up, the little lies, the unexplained disappearances. Write them down. Don't edit yourself. Just list it all out. If you do this honestly, you'll see a pattern so clear it might as well be highlighter on white paper. The names may change, the faces, the jobs, the quirks, those details might differ. But those red flags, they're going to line up column by column, echo for echo, pattern for pattern. You cannot deny it when it's staring you in the face like that. This is the truth in black and white, your pattern out in the open, and you cannot change what you are not willing to acknowledge. Here we go. Step 3, acknowledge the lies you tell yourself. And oh, don't we all do this when we want to avoid pain or keep hope alive? You know what I'm talking about. Hayes just stressed at work. She doesn't mean it. If I just love him harder, he'll finally see how good I am. This is the last time. These are the anesthetics you use to tune out reality. They numb the pain of the truth, but they also keep you stuck, sedated, repeating the cycle again. I am going to say this with the care of a friend, but with the urgency of someone who's seen too much wasted time. It's time to stop the supply. Stop feeding yourself the stories that keep you from healing. Those rationalizations, those are the chains that keep you glued to the very thing you say you want freedom from. And here's the hardest part, the truth. Without compassion is cruelty. So you absolutely must be gentle with yourself along the way. But don't use compassion as an excuse not to act. Truth without action is useless. It's not enough to realize, yeah, I get something out of this, or I see my red flag patterns, or I know what I tell myself to keep hope alive. You have to take that truth and do something with it. The truth you just uncovered demands action. Now is when you start to sketch your exit strategy. Now is when you start to design a reality that fits what you truly want, not what you've always settled for. Let me speak directly to you. Maybe you're listening on a drive, or sitting in your kitchen, or hiding out in your closet with your headphones in and your heart pounding because you know I'm talking to you. You do not have to live in this loop forever. You get to decide how the rest of your story goes. But it doesn't start with someday, it starts today with one honest page, one pattern revealed, and one decision to act. So here's your challenge, your homework, your invitation. Take your Get Real audit list and look at it with new eyes. Notice the payoffs. Circle the repeating red flags. Draw a line through the lies you're done telling yourself. Do this without shame, but with total clarity and fierce compassion. That's how change begins. Not with fireworks, not with some magical new person riding in on a white horse, but with brutal honesty, radical self-respect, and action. Build your exit strategy. I can't do it for you, but you're not alone in doing it. There's a big difference between being stuck and being ready to move. And you. The fact that you're even here means you're ready. Here's the real bottom line. It's time to stop letting your past write your future. Take the pen, do the inventory, and start drafting a new chapter. One that doesn't run on excuses, hope, or pain, but on truth and intentional change. You owe yourself nothing less, trust me. Now, we're getting honest about something most folks misunderstand. And if you're tuning in because you keep letting people bowl right through your peace, your privacy, or your self-respect, then listen up. People think boundaries are walls that keep folks out. That's wrong. Boundaries aren't walls, they're a gate. You get to decide who you let in and what behavior you allow once they step inside. Right now, for a lot of you, your gate is wide open and there's no guard on duty. It's time to put someone on the night shift, and that someone is you. Let me break this down. A boundary is not a complicated philosophical idea. It's practical. It's necessary. It's the rule book for how the world treats you and how you treat yourself. But let's get real about what a boundary actually is, because too many people have this twisted. A boundary is not a request. You're not standing there begging, "Would you please stop yelling at me?" That's a request, and that's a hand off of your power. It is not a threat either. If you do that one more time, "I'm leaving forever," that's drama, and that's not real power. What it is a calm, clear statement. Not about them, but about you. It's about the reality you're claiming and the action you are ready to take to protect yourself. There's a simple formula I want you to keep front and center in your mind. The non-negotiable boundary formula is this: if you do X, then I will do Y. That's the whole playbook. If you raise your voice at me, I will end the conversation and walk away. If you make a critical comment about my family, I will hang up the phone. If you show up unannounced, I will not answer the door. Period. No debate. Notice the power is right there in the second half. It's the I will. That's you taking action for your well-being, not waiting for someone else to change. You can't control what they do. You can only control what you do. And that's all the control you'll ever need. Let me tell you a little secret. When you set boundaries with a narcissist or any person used to calling the shots, they are not going to go quietly. Buckle up, because it's about to get noisy. This is what we call an extinction burst. The moment you stop playing the game master is going to double down. Rage, tears, guilt trips, all kinds of manipulation. These are tactics. They're trying to shake the vending machine because the candy's not coming out like it used to. Your job is to hold the line. You give in now, and all you've done is teach them to push harder next time. Consistency isn't easy, but it's essential. Let's get specific because I want you to win at this. When someone tests your boundary, maybe your partner, your parent, a friend who just can't help themselves, you have to respond without emotion, without argument. Remember, this is not a negotiation. If they cross the line, you take the action you said you'd take, walk away. Hang up. End the conversation. Every time you follow through, you send a message, not just to them, but to yourself, that you mean business. You become a person who expects respect and enforces it, even if your voice shakes the first few times you do it. The lesson: you teach people how to treat you. And you do that by the consequences you dish out, not just by the words you say. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, Digger. Phil, if I set these boundaries, I'm going to lose people. I'm going to make waves because fights maybe end up all alone. No, the truth is, when you set boundaries, you'll lose people who are only there for the free ride through your wide open gate. The people who stick around, those are your people. Those who rage or bail when you ask for basic respect, those folks were never on your side anyway, not in a way that's healthy for you. Let me get even more real with you. This requires courage. Setting boundaries, holding them, enduring the tantrum or the cold shoulder or the manipulation, none of that's fun. But it's freedom, my friend. It's the freedom to stop living life from a defensive crouch, hoping people won't take advantage, and start living upright, knowing you get to decide what comes into your life and what goes right back out the gate. What would your life look like if you believed deeply that you deserve to be surrounded only by honest, respectful, reciprocal relationships? What would change if you drew your line in the sand and enforced it calmly and consistently every time? You'd feel lighter, stronger, less resentful. You'd get clearer about what matters and who really matters. You'd realize that boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They're about preserving the best of yourself for those who truly deserve access, including you. Let's close with this. Setting a boundary is you telling the world how you expect to be treated. But enforcing that boundary, that's you proving to yourself that you actually believe you deserve it. So get your gate, find your guard, and hold the line like your well-being depends on it, because it absolutely does. Trust me on this one. You are worth every boundary you set, every line you hold, and every bit of respect you demand and deliver. Well, hey, it's Dr. Phil here, and we're not glossing over anything today. We're standing right at the heart of the matter. Yeah, this is the moment, the crossroad. You'll keep drawing narcissists into your orbit until you do this. And friend, this isn't some magic spell or therapy hack. THI is the most important work you will ever do for yourself. You must become so full of your own self-worth, so invested in your own life, so overflowing with purpose, peace, and pride that you become flat, outboring to a narcissist. That's the antidote. You stop being their playground, and they just wander on by looking for easier prey. So let's break this down. First action step, become a terrible source of supply. You see, Narcissists need a reaction. Drama is their oxygen. You give them a fight, you give them tears. Hey, even a sarcastic eye roll, and you've just served up a fresh meal. Their appetite, infinite. But the minute you stop delivering what they crave, the minute you don't engage, don't emote, don't let their chaos drag you under, you're cutting off the supply lines. They love the chase, the emotional chaos, the push and pull. Stop giving reactions. Let me put it to you like this. You're not a cable news network broadcasting your every emotion, every wound, every anxiety for them to tune in and stir up. You become a gray rock. That's right, the gray rock method. You answer with a calm, okay. No head tilt, no dramatic sigh, just boring, flat, uninteresting. Nothing for them to sink their teeth into. Because here's the thing, it's not about out arguing a narcissist or about winning some mysterious psychological battle. It's about denying them what they need most, your emotional fireworks. Second action step, the Self-Reclamation project. Grab a piece of paper. I'm serious, go ahead. I want you to make a list, not of things you've lost, but things you surrendered, your hobbies, your passions, your friendships, the things you once made time for until that last dysfunctional relationship drained the color out of your world. That painting class you loved but stopped attending. That friend who always made you laugh, but who drifted away when your partner rolled their eyes at every invitation. That hiking group you gave up because, well, there wasn't any time. Here's your homework, and I mean this, get every single one of those things back on your schedule. Call the friend. Sign up for that class. Dust off the running shoes or the dance shoes or, hey, the bowling shoes if that's your thing. Rejoin the gym. Set up a weekly coffee or game night. Because a narcissist desperately wants to be the center of your universe, the sun around which you orbit. When your universe is full, when it is busy, rich, vibrant, alive with your own passions and joy, there's no empty center for them to fill. The busier you are enjoying your life, the less time you have to make someone else the main character in your story. Now, action step 3, and don't roll your eyes. I'm dead serious. Learn to date yourself. Take yourself out to dinner. Go see that movie you've been wanting to watch. Go to the museum or the concert or the farmer's market alone. Why? Because you need to learn that your own company isn't some sad consolation prize. It's a prize, period, when you are not desperate for someone else to fill the empty seat beside you. When being alone doesn't feel like a punishment, but a privilege. You get choosy real quick about who you let pull up that chair. You choose companions out of want, not out of need. And you know what? The goal isn't to get better at spotting narcissists. That's the trap. How do I avoid them? How do I see through them sooner? Friend, you don't need to be a narcissist detector. You need to be so busy living a life you love, so saturated in your own fulfillment, that a narcissist loses interest before they ever get started. You make yourself an inhospitable environment for their dysfunction, not through confrontation, but through elevation. When you stop feeding the fire of dysfunction, when you stop airing your wounds for every manipulator to play surgeon, real change happens. The world will always be full of narcissists, manipulators, users, people looking for someone to blame or fix or feed off of. You can't control that. But you can 100% control whether you are a viable landing spot for them. And that control never ever starts with them. It always starts with you. I want you to picture it you, full to the brim with your own life, your own dreams, your own joy. People come and go, but you are whole, grounded, content. Somebody tries to throw you off course, and you don't even flinch. You don't get defensive, you don't get angry, you don't crumble. You just stay rock steady. The narcissist looks at you and sees a closed door, a gate with a lock they don't have the key to, and they move on. That's it. That's the compliment. When you are boring to dysfunction, you have done the deepest, most radical work possible. So if you take nothing else away, let it be this. You reclaim your life, minute by minute, activity by activity, connection by connection, until there is no room left for someone who feeds off your pain. You make your soul your sanctuary. You become, finally, your own safe place. That right there is freedom. That is radical self-reclamation. And I am telling you with all the conviction in my heart, when you commit to this, you don't just stop attracting narcissists. You start truly living. Well, hey, it's Dr. Phil, and now I want you right here fully present, because this is not about quick fixes, gimmicks, or some miracle 30-day plan. No, sir. What we're going to dig into right now is changing your entire operating system, the way you show up for yourself every day. So you're not just reacting to life, you're creating it. Let that soak in. This is about turning your life from a defensive scrimmage into a winning offense rooted in authenticity, intention, and real, durable joy. Let's get real. For too long, some of you have been living in reaction mode, flinching every time trouble comes, scanning for red flags in everybody else, telling the same story about what happened to you, what they did, how much it hurt. And look, I get it. When you've been hurt, when your trust has been broken, you put your guard up. That's human. But the truth is, if you stay stuck in that victim script, you keep repeating your own scenes like déjà vu for the soul. So let's do the first big mindset shift from victim to victor. Listen to me, victim, say, look what they did to me. Victor, say, look what I learned from that. You want a real shift? You want transformation that stays, that gets into your bones. You've got to turn your pain into wisdom, your scars into strength. You stop narrating the story of what happened to you, and you pick up a new pen. Today is the day you start writing the story of what you're going to do next. And it doesn't matter if you came from a long string of chaos or a family tree full of narcissists. What matters is what you do next. This isn't pie in the sky stuff. This is action. You wake up every morning and you remind yourself, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. When the old feelings come up, the urge to play small, smooth things over, bend until you break just to keep someone else happy, you name it, you see it, and you choose differently, because victors don't keep wounds open. They build with the stones that once tripped them. Let's roll into mindset shift 2. Your intuition is your new North Star. You know that little voice, the one that tugged at you when something felt off on the first date, when your gut twisted, when the pit formed in your stomach, but you talked yourself out of it. That voice is not your enemy, not your critic, not your killjoy. It's your closest advisor, your best early warning system. From now on, you're done negotiating with red flags, done intellectualizing, giving second, third, and fourth chances to things that don't feel right. When you feel a red flag now, you don't become Sherlock Holmes, hunting for evidence or reasons to excuse it. You don't debate, investigate, or bargain with your gut. You honor it. You walk away, sometimes without explanation, and you do it for you. That's not rude. That's respect. Let me give you the ultimate truth. You can't cure their narcissism. You can't love them into being healthy. You can't make them see the light, offer enough compassion, or perform enough emotional labor to turn them into the person you needed them to be. You can only do one thing: save yourself. And I mean save in every sense of the word: protect, preserve, elevate. It's the hardest, most rewarding work you'll ever do. And by saving yourself, by living with integrity, self-respect, and joy, you do something remarkable. You become a beacon. Others watch. Other healthy people are drawn to you, want to know your secret. See, the goal isn't to rid the world of narcissists. Good luck, because that's not going to happen. The world is full of them, and that fact doesn't change, no matter how informed you get, how much therapy you do, or how many red flag lists you memorize. What you can absolutely control is whether you are a landing spot for them. That's a game changer. When you do the deep, gritty, daily work, when you heal your wounds, set your boundaries, fill your life with meaning and connection and self-trust, you don't just become uninteresting to narcissists. You repel them. Let me tell you, they will find you boring, difficult, no fun at all. And you know what? That is the highest compliment you can ever get from someone unhealthy. That's when you know you're finally free. You're no longer auditioning for roles in someone else's drama. You're not explaining your worth, not shrinking to fit anybody else's version of love, not hoping the wrong people will suddenly see you. You have stepped into your story as the author, the star, and the director. So if you find yourself right now stuck in that old pattern, wondering why the same faces, the same disappointments, keep rotating through your life, pause, take a breath, and reclaim the pen. Start telling a better story. Commit to living in a way that makes you a bad fit for dysfunction, a sanctuary for wisdom, and a magnet for real reciprocal, nourishing connection. That's it. You don't have to play the old game ever again. Victory, real, lasting victory, isn't just escaping the narcissist. It's building a life in which they lose interest while the very best people find you and want to stay. And I want you to know, no, I want you to believe that you have everything it takes to get there. Just keep showing up, keep choosing yourself, and keep moving from reacting to creating. You are free the moment you decide you are done living on someone else's terms. Trust me, you don't want to just survive, you want to thrive. That's the true meaning of living authentically, of becoming once and for all the narcissist-repellent life.